Where does the desire come from, and what is the desire? Obviously, I know you love to fight.
Money. I like making money. Straight up, like, this is a prize fighting sport. Like, I've been broke, my family's been broke. I know what this shit means, and I do it like because I'm good at it and I hustle hard. And when it's all said and done, no one will care about me no more. So I gotta make the most of it while I'm here.
I make big money, I drive big cars, everybody know me.
A switch went off in AJ's head post-fight Usyk. So is this the new AJ, so to speak? The so-called corporate image looks like it's taking a little bit of a backseat. The mercenary, it's all about the money, AJ. The money Mayweather phase, perhaps. A lot of people are saying, I like the new AJ, I like the new AJ. But yo, corporate AJ was successful and handled his business in the ring too. The meaner edge, yeah. Leaving your home comforts, taking on a new environment to train, should result perhaps in an edgier AJ. I don't think he's trying to get in Jermaine's head. I don't think that would affect Jermaine. Maybe AJ's trying to get inside his own head. Sometimes you have to get inside your own head and see what's in there. I'll be honest though, like, Jermaine Franklin was relatively inactive going into the Dillian fight. He's got the Dillian fight under him now. We're coming out of this COVID phase, so I would assume because of the headlines and momentum he got from the Dillian fight, he would have stayed in the gym. I'm assuming Dimitri Salita would say, look, a big fight could be on the horizons. You might get AJ anyway. So I have a feeling he's in better shape now than he was for the Dillian fight. Don't be surprised if he's lighter or if his physique looks a bit better. He's in better shape for the AJ fight. Also, because to me, the argument for Franklin losing against Dillian was the late rounds. He did flag a little. That could come down to the inactivity. He wasn't in tip-top shape. Perhaps. Not saying 100%, perhaps. He's a guy very easy to underestimate. Very easy. With his demeanor, softly spoken, soft-looking body, not a massive heavyweight. AJ's coming off 2 losses. Jermaine's coming off a disputed loss. AJ's tall, a little upright in his stance, and Jermaine has a very good center of gravity. His center of gravity, the way he uses that, his calmness in the pocket, could give AJ trouble. We saw Jermaine come over to the United Kingdom, unbeaten record, what was it, 17-0 to fight Dillian? He was unbeaten for a reason. Okay, no world-class names there, but he was unbeaten for a reason. He can fight a little. He can fight. You know, he could punch with both hands, left hook, right hook, likes to time your jab and counter, high guard, tucks his chin in, likes to stay in range, doesn't back out in straight lines like that, moves to the side, does a lot of good things in there. I don't know what AJ's approach is going to be. I don't know what he's been learning with Derek James. It's weird, man. Like, I've heard British people slating the opponent, and I don't know if they know British heavyweight boxing history and some of the opponents that they dug up for Frank Bruno with Johnny Boss, aka the Gravedigger, who Mickey Duffy used to use. Some of the opponents they used to dig up for Gary Mason. You know, there were 2 heavyweights back in the day from the Royal Oak Gym, Terry Lawless, Mickey Duff. They used to use Johnny Boss from America to dig up a lot of opponents for the British heavyweights and the British fighters in general. And I'm telling you, man, the boxing news and the boxing press back in the day, they wouldn't be slating Jermaine Franklin like I've seen some members of the media slating him as a comeback opponent. They wouldn't have slated him. This is no Chuck Gardner or John Emin from France. This is nowhere near on the level of some of the opponents that Gary Mason and Frank Bruno was fighting. You know, they were both in the Royal Oak Gym, Terry Lawless and Mickey Duff. Yeah, fought some horrible opponents, man. Passed his medicals, and there's certain things you can't get away with today that you were getting away with back then. Like, one of Mason's opponents failed a brain scan. Oh, it's Frank Warren. He failed a brain scan on one of Frank Warren's cards. But because the cartel was so powerful and used to manipulate the British Boxing Board of Control, they won't admit it, but it's the truth. He was passed to fight Gary Mason a few years later. Now, don't quote me, Frank Warren either had to cancel the fight or the whole card when Oscar Holman failed a brain scan. And I'm not saying Oscar Holman couldn't fight. He was a good journeyman. He was a very tough journeyman, but he shouldn't have been in the ring. Jermaine Franklin is a very good comeback opponent for a heavyweight who's just come off 2 losses. But then again, they were slating Franklin when he was chosen as an opponent for Dillian. I'm saying, well, boy, he's unbeaten. Looks pretty good. On the eye test, it's not the worst fighter for Dillian to fight coming off a knockout. Loss. People have their agendas and their hatred for certain promoters and fighters, and that's where it starts and ends. You know, Demetrius Salito's done what he's had to do with Jermaine Franklin, and they haven't been promoting him like a journeyman. He's not been used like a journeyman. They're promoting him like a contender. And after that Dillian fight, he's still full of ambition. 29 years of age, he's younger than AJ. But if AJ can't beat Jermaine Franklin, we do have to start evaluating what is he doing right now in the heavyweight game. What is he doing? 3 losses on the bounce is an absolute disaster for AJ and the zone. They had to break the bank to get him over there. That sneaky right hand that Franklin throws from out of crouch, I hope Derek James is addressing it, but Derek James said he doesn't watch fights. There's another American trainer who don't watch fights. Buddy McGirt said he didn't watch fights. And Dillian struggled with Jermaine. So I don't know what that's all about, this I don't watch fights. Dillian, however, doesn't have the hand speed of an Anthony Joshua, and Franklin has a tendency to lean towards his left. If AJ maneuvers him into a right uppercut, it's going to be all types of issues for Jermaine Franklin. Jermaine is not a noted puncher, and I think they're looking at it that Dillian probably hits a little harder than Jermaine, and that's why they may have opted for Jermaine. But, you know, AJ, it's a fight he should win, isn't it? I believe he'll win it, but more breakdowns nearer fight time.
What's up, homie? Don't you know me? Simeon, ain't you the brother of the Mas Pignon? Straight up. And I'm down with La Raza. Kid Frost got my back in El Casa. Is David Benavidez a Mexican? Or is he really an American? I don't know if you see him like a Chavez. Yo, David Benavidez. Yo, David Benavidez. Is he Mexican or is he an American?
All right, let's go. So the Mexican monster, David Benavidez, says he wants to be country's next great fighter. And he cited names like Marcos Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Juan Manuel Marquez, Oscar de la Hoya. They were just some of the names that Benavidez named off the top of his head. You know, it's no Canelo. He's 26 years of age now. And it looks like that Mike Tyson, Mexican monster, call out when Jamal Charlo was on the show has stuck. It looks like David Benavidez done better off that show than Jamal. You know what I mean? Like, phew. Now he takes on K. DePlant, 25th of March, in what they're, when I say they, people are looking at this as the career-defining fight of his career. They should have really made this fight when they were both unbeaten on the same promotional banner and on the same network. They really should have. But we take what we can get in boxing, especially with the PBC. David's issue in trying to build up a Mexican fan base is people are saying David Benavidez is not Mexican. He was born and raised in the United States and has lived there his entire life. His mother was born in Ecuador when David was 8. And David was raised solely by his Ecuadorian mother until he was a teenager. So his dad, Jose Sr., wasn't in his life until he was a teenager, is what they're saying. I don't want to hear people, saying it's petty and this and that. It's not petty. Ethnicity, nationality are important to the Mexican people. Whether you like it or not, it is what it is. Everybody needs a fan base. He needs a fan base. His father was raised in the United States since the age of 11. David Benavidez is an American, is what Boxing Habit are saying. Well, my answer to David Benavidez is go out there and make the best fights you can. And if Al Heyman is stopping you from making them, you need to move. If you want to prove you're Mexican, your birth certificate, or if your mom is Ecuadorian, or whether your dad is a legit Mexican, is not important. You need to go out there and lay it down, Mexican style. And then you'll get their respect regardless. Whether they claim you as a Mexican son, as an honorary or adopted son, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Jose Napoles was Cuban. But you go tell the Mexicans that he wasn't one of them. One fighter who didn't deserve to get dropped from Matchroom was Martin Bakole. He hooked up with Matchroom 2019, just after he beat Marius Wack, he hooked up, scored a first round TKO against an opponent who was very durable, actually. Very durable in Pereira. Then he knocked out Kevin Johnson, or TKO'd him in 5, which wasn't no mean feat. Slapped up Rodney Hernandez in the Manchester Arena. Beat Sergei Kuzmin, close fight, but he won it, a UD. And then got dropped. What for? He was active. He was doing what he was supposed to do. The crunch point at his time at Matchroom, though, was between the Rodney Hernandez fight in November of 2019 and then the Sergei Kuzmin fight coming a year after, December 2020. Now, it's hard to match Martin. And I think that could have been one of the issues Eddie had. It's hard to match him. People don't want to go in there with Martin. And I've been saying that for a long time. Even though I didn't think he was going to beat Tony Yoka, and I really regret that I didn't back Martin. I backed Martin all of his career, and the time I didn't fucking back him, he comes up good against Tony Yoka in France. Martin is now 18-1 with 13 knockouts. He didn't deserve to get dropped. And me and Billy Nelson don't get on, but I've always told Billy he didn't deserve to get dropped. And I can understand why Billy is a bit bitter with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. I understand. Although Billy goes a little over the top. Here's the thing, though. Bakole's only defeat was to Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter was signed to Boxer XX recently. He was signed in to fight Huey Fury until Huey got COVID. And they couldn't get Michael another fight after that, and Michael had to leave. So is what Billy Joe Saunders saying coming to light a little? Like, okay, you're promising these fighters the world, but can you get the fights? I mean, what kind of fights is he going to get Martin Bakole? Martin Bakole just beat an Olympic gold medalist, right? He just beat an Olympic gold medalist. Forget the majority decision bullshit, right? He wiped the floor with Tony Yoka. Forget all that. What is it Boxer can do with Martin Bakole that they couldn't do with Michael Hunter? Why Michael Hunter had to leave? What's Ben Shalom going to do to get these fighters to take the chance against Martin Bakole? What's he going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to pay Martin Bakole a fortune to fight journeymen and no-hopers? We'll see. These signings like this are going to be a test of what Ben Shalom can do as a promoter. Bakole is ranked number 2 by the WBA for that Eliminator belt. Daniel Dubois is not a world champion. But I don't think Frank's going to... If Frank can help it, they haven't mandated it yet. How long is he going to have to wait to get that fight? Frank's going to string that out, and he might even give the belt up before he lets Daniel fight Martin. Apparently, Martin spilt Daniel all over the place in sparring. It hasn't been mandated, and as for a voluntary, Frank's going to be looking for way easier fights than that after what just happened against the South African when Daniel was on the canvas 3 times. How much is Ben Shalom going to have to come out of pocket to get that fight? In all reality. Well, good luck to Martin. Good luck to Martin and good luck to Ben. Hopefully they will land the significant fights that are out there. I really hope they can. Would Joseph Parker fight Martin Bakole? Perhaps. He might look for something easier. He fought Jack Massey. He's going to jump from Jack Massey to Martin Bakole. And like I said, are they going to put Fraser in there? I mean, are they going to match Fraser Clark and Joseph Parker? All these fighters seem to be at different stages of their careers. Huey Fury, he's sidelined with COVID. They bought a lot of heavyweights. Can they put together the fights at that weight class, though, with the heavyweights they have? Okay, so basically Ring IQ put me up on this story here that Josh Taylor could be fighting Teofimo Lopez. Question is, though, is where does that leave the Jack Catterall fight, the rematch we've been waiting for how long? It's nearly a year since the first fight, and neither man has had a fight since. It's nearly a year. The rematch was supposed to take place in March this year. Josh injured his leg, apparently. Jack was waiting for Josh to come back and say, okay, we're ready to go such and such a date. Apparently, Jack saw the tweet, I don't know if it came from Teofimo or Josh Taylor themselves, that they could be fighting each other, and Jack put a duck emoji on the tweet saying that Josh is ducking him. The guy conducting the interview on IFL TV said, it's not really a duck though. And Ben Shalom said, well, why is that? The interviewer says, well, Jack is going to fight on such and such date, so Josh needs to fight. No. Jack Catterall is waiting for a date from Josh Taylor to fight. Jack Catterall cannot schedule the fight. He's not the champion. Jack Catterall wanted an immediate rematch. Josh Taylor said, I'm not going to give him one. We heard that Josh Taylor's going to move up to 147. Then late last year, Josh decided, okay, I'm going to take the fight. But this wasn't until after a lot of backlash from the public and the media, he said, I'm going to take the fight. I'm going to win decisively, and no one can say it was controversial, and he can say he's a better fighter than Jack. So the interviewer was trying to put it out there like, oh, well, Jack's trying to take a fight. Yeah, he needs to take a fight. He needs to take a fight. He hasn't fought since February. Fighters cannot deal with this amount of ring rust. He needs to fight. But if Josh Taylor said he had a date, Jack would go for it. But there's nothing coming back. What's come back? Josh is going to fight Teofimo Lopez. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I've been saying for a long time, I don't think Josh wants the rematch. I don't think he wants it. It might not be Josh, maybe his team. Maybe it's Top Rank don't like the fight. Maybe they think the risk reward not really worth it. ARUM probably thinks he could do better making Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor. Where are they going to hold it? In the UK, I assume. Why would Josh Taylor give home territory to Teofimo Lopez? Josh has the belt. But will Teofimo fly over to Scotland? It's very hostile. O'Hara Davis was talking about how they racially abused him when he fought Josh Taylor over there. He was speaking about it this week. Teo turned down the Regis Prograis fight. He didn't want no part of it. His old man didn't want no part of it. Teo didn't want no part of it. So maybe he might think the flight to Scotland is a lesser risk than going up against the lethal hands of Regis Prograis. Now, if this was pre-Catterall Taylor 1, when Taylor still had a reputation before the Catterall fight, he would have had a hard choice out of picking Prograis or Taylor. But Taylor looks vulnerable now, so maybe Teo feels ready to pounce and get his second strap in a second weight class. Now, this is all speculation at the moment. That's what it is. It's speculation. But I'll end it like this. He did look gaunt at the weigh-in for Jack Catterall, did Josh Taylor. He looked very gaunt in the face. Looked a little emaciated. But wasn't he talking about moving up to 147? But now he's going to take Teofimo Lopez on at 140? Doesn't it look like he's avoiding the Jack Catterall fight? And if he is avoiding Jack Catterall, why would that be? Does he or McNally, his new coach, not like the style matchup? The way Josh matches up against Catterall? Is that what it is? I don't think Josh fears Jack Catterall, but sometimes there's a boogeyman out there, and he might not even be that great. You might beat better fighters than him throughout your career, but this guy here has got your number. Could it be that? Could it be the risk reward? Could it be the risk reward? Like, how much is in a Taylor Catterall fight? Is there bigger money in the Teofimo Lopez fight? You know, boxers, I would imagine, have different motivations for making certain moves. Will he be more motivated against Teofimo Lopez than Jack Catterall? And I spoke about that before the first fight that he had with Catterall. Is he fully motivated with this? I was the first one to jump on that topic about the motivation from coming all the way across the pond to fight for 4 belts, all the dazzling lights of across the pond, then have to come back to the UK to defend against domestic opposition like Jack Catterall. Can he pick himself up? And can he pick himself up for this rematch? Does he really want it? It could be psychological as much as physical. And he'll just be more motivated to fight Teofimo Lopez. Perhaps. It's a more glitzy, career-defining fight that you have to motivate yourself for. But you have to motivate yourself for Jack Catterall. But can you do it? I don't know. What does Jack Catterall do? Ben Shalom says that Josh Taylor has signed a contract, but, you know, that could go through the legal system and take God knows how long. Catterall might be better off letting Ben fight the case and at least get financially compensated if Top Rank are in breach, and let Jack take a fight. You know, I mean, this shit could go on for months. They don't want the fight. They obviously don't want the fight. MIKAELA Meyer, December the 9th, 2021. Hey, Eddie Hearn, can you call back my manager already? Trying to get some fights made. So looking at the timeline, one of them fights at that time could have been Terry Harper. So that would have been a unification at 130. The other fighter that Eddie had at that weight class at that time was Natasha Jonas. Here's what I don't get. Looking at that tweet, why would Eddie contact your manager? Wouldn't he contact the big man, Bob Arum? Because Bob Arum's not interested in her career. We know this because Bob said that women's boxing doesn't draw. So nothing happened anyway. There was no fights between MIKAELA and any Matchroom fighters at that time. MIKAELA tried to ingratiate herself to Bob by saying, don't let Eddie Hearn buy us out, you know, like, we're going to stick together. But Bob don't give a ish about her career. She's never took a shot at Bob. She always takes little digs at Eddie, and Eddie doesn't promote her. So now, she had a unification against Baumgartner last year and lost at 130. Alicia last week became undisputed champion at the weight class. Because the Chinese lady, Choi, you know what I mean, would rather be on some modelling thing rather than boxing the best at her weight class. So she had to forfeit that belt, the WBA strap. Now, it was controversial, Mayor versus Baumgartner, but Baumgartner won the fight. And she's with Matchroom. She won the fight. Now this girl, MIKAELA, is saying Eddie can't afford to stage the rematch. I don't know if she's trying to goad Eddie into saying, well, I can, I'm going to put it on, and Alicia's going to do this and that to you and smash you up. MIKAELA, you lost the fight. Eddie doesn't have to put up an offer. If you want the belt back, you have to go to your promoter and get your promoter to make an offer. And Eddie said he's open to it if Top Rank come back with an offer. They're not going to chase you. You lost the fight. We'll leave that one there for now. All right, so Adam Azim headlines tomorrow on Boxer XX against Santos Reyes. Adam Azim currently is 7-0, 6 inside the distance, and is touted to be the next big thing in British boxing by Sky and Boxer XX. He takes on Santos Reyes from Nicaragua, 12 wins, 3 stoppages. Now, it's basically a next-gen card, really. Maybe a level above what Matchroom used to do at Sky, what they would call a next-gen. They've got Zach Chelly against Anthony Sims for the WBA Continental Super Middle title. Should be a good fight. Zach Kelly 12-1-1. The only loss was to Cody Davis, 6 knockouts. Anthony Sims used to be a Matchroom. They dropped him in 2020 when they were dropping a lot of what Eddie Hearn and Sky thought were dead weight after he lost a split decision to Roma Alexis Angulo, who in hindsight gave Edgar Berlanga, a touted prospect, a difficult evening, a distance fight. Anthony Sims is now trying to re-establish his credentials after that loss, and he's on the big stage, Wembley Arena. He's on the big stage, and he's got to do something with this opportunity. Zach Chelly is saying he's going to knock Anthony out. I don't know who's the betting favourite. I would imagine it's Anthony Sims, but the crowd will be roaring Zach Chelly on. And it could be a difficult evening for Anthony Sims. It could be. Zach Chelly's very aggressive. He's got the size. He doesn't seem very technically astute, may I say. And that's where Anthony could get him. He's a little more technical. Should be a good fight, though. It's a very good fight. Another good fight for the English middleweight title. The champion, Tyler Denny, who's defended a few times now, takes on Brad Pauls. Tyler has only 4 knockouts, 15 wins, 2 losses and 3 draws. Brad Pauls has a perfect 16-0 record, no draws, no losses, 9 inside the distance. Could this be the night where Tyler Denny surrenders his English title? We shall see. Caroline Dubois, she's 5-0, sister of Daniel Dubois. She takes on what looks like moderate opposition with a 10-7-0 record, Farish Mashuri. Vidal Riley, he's 7-0 currently, cruiserweight. He has what sounded like an ambitious opponent, the way he was talking back and forth with Vidal yesterday at the press conference, named Aries Taj, 7-2-0, 5 inside the distance. Some say he can punch a little. Is this Vidal's biggest test? It could well be. His opponent, 26 years of age, full of ambition. He said he's been preparing since last year for Vidal, so he's had full training camp, knows what to expect from Vidal. And I'd like to see Vidal more active. He's 7-0 currently, 4 inside the distance. He did fight 3 times last year, but he debuted in 2018. That's the thing. 7 fights in 5 years. We need to step this up. Get it in gear. 25 years of age, and he does have ability. He does have some ability. The rest of the card, no disrespect. You got Hassan Azim, 5-0. I don't really know what the rest of the fighters are capable of, and I don't know much about them. But that's it for now. Have a great weekend. Be good to each other.